Hey folks, after me trying diligently for 15 minutes to broadcast on Facebook with my good friend Erin Duffy in Minneapolis,
yay!
Our survey said, 3 big X's from the judges. So it's like, screw you, I'm going to do it the old school. So I'm going to record it and I'm going to upload it. So Erin, thank you for joining me, my dear friend.
You are welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be with you today.
I'm so glad you're here too. And you know what I love is that apart from old friends from high school and you know where I was brought up, almost all of my friends that I have now, few neighbors of course, have come through my business world, especially in the last 3 years. Some of my best friends I've met in the last 3 years. And that's when you invest in yourself and you join a mastermind and you're all in this together. And then you get to learn cool stories and you get to meet the coolest people. And I'm up in Vancouver and you're down there. I said down there, but geographically in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And Minnesota. I get it. And yeah, so one of the coolest things I know about Erin is that back in, I'm going to age you a little bit, 1992, when you're working in San Francisco and living in Minneapolis, I don't know if the phrase was, screw this, I'm going home, but you decided to telecommute pre-internet, pre-cell phone, pre-satellite, like those bricks even, the old golden gecko brick. And you managed to do that way back when, and you've consistently done it. So what made you do that in the first place?
Well, great question, Jonathan. So I am back in 92. My former husband and I had an opportunity to take a job here in Minneapolis.
Yep.
And we decided, what the heck, let's do this. It'd be fun adventure. Let's leave Silicon Valley. Let's leave California. Let's have our adventure. We gave it 4 years. And so I gave up my job there because I worked for a creative agency. And by the way, I had just started with them the year before. I absolutely loved my job.
Yes.
But it was like, oh, we're going to move, we're going to do this. And it also was going to give me the opportunity, too, to come to the Twin Cities and pursue my other dual career, or my other career at the time, which was as a singer-actor. And we thought, you know, it's a great town for theater here. Most people probably know that. Maybe they don't know that. It's a huge music town, a huge theater town. And we're like, what the heck? Let's do this. Let's live this adventure. So it was interesting as I moved here. And within a couple of months, I really, really missed working. I missed my job as much as I loved the theater. I also had that business side of me as well. So I remember calling my boss, and he had me come out to California actually to work when the gal who also managed sort of the account side was on vacation. Hey, would you come out and just for 3 weeks and do her job? I'm like, why not? I get to go home and see my family, see my friends. Yes. Well, it was during that time when, I was like, I really love this job. So I had in my mind put a plan together and I presented it to him and said, what if I telecommuted from my house in Minneapolis? And I honestly didn't think they would buy into it. I thought they would think I was crazy, but right away they're like, oh my goodness, that's a great idea. Let's try it. And we called all the customers, all our clients at the time. Now remember, this is 92. So everybody is in a brick or mortar building. Everybody's at their corporate offices. Everybody has an office, a cubicle, whatever. Yeah. And we said it to the clients and they're like, really? Oh, Erin's going to come back? Oh, this sounds great. Let's do it. And all of our vendors said the same thing. So I said, oh, this is going to be fun. And honestly, Jonathan, I gave it 6 months. I'm like, is this really going to work? Yeah. And so I started, like you were saying, there was no Wi-Fi. We had no email at that time.
No, right?
Nothing. So I started with a fax machine. Mm-hmm. And my Mac computer, and I had this desk that was in this office, and we just started it. And we also got a 1-800 number, because at that time, it cost a lot of money to make a phone call. People probably forgot that. Yeah. And we didn't want our clients to think, oh, we're calling Erin, it's going to cost us a lot of money. So we purchased a 1-800 number, mm-hmm. and we made it very seamless for clients, for vendors, what have you. And like I said, I gave it 6 months, and literally 25 years later, I was doing it. It was amazing, Jonathan, is I got to watch the industry change around me. Like 92, Erin is a telecommuter. I think the word, I was like probably one of the first in the country. And by 2000, we start to make that shift where corporations were sending people home saying, you can work from home. We're going to set you up at home.
Yes.
And we're going to give you all the tools you need to work from home. And I remember first in 92 being in the conference room, and I would be in the speaker box in the center of the conference table, and everybody else was in the room. And by the early 2000s, mid 2000, no one was in a conference room. Everybody was on a conference line.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you said something interesting the other day. You went to a conference in 95 and came back to tell your boss about the internet.
The World Wide Web. I don't even think we even knew internet at that time.
No, it's probably the internet. Yeah.
Yes, I was at that meeting. It was a global marketing meeting for one of my big clients. And there's like probably 250 people in this room, all the marketing organizations and the agencies. And I'll never forget, this gentleman gets up and he says, we want to talk to you about what's coming. Yeah. And he's talked about this World Wide Web. And I'm not kidding you. He actually had a graphic that looked like a web. And he was explaining how it worked. And I remember not quite getting it, since I tend to be more of a creative than a technical person. But I remember thinking, I think this is going to be a game changer for our business.
Yes.
And I remember going back to my boss and saying, I need you to know, and I kind of explained this idea of the World Wide Web. And then I just said, Jim, this is going to be a big change. Something's coming. I don't quite get it. And what I loved about my boss, the owner of our company, man, he always thought ahead. He was always 2 steps ahead of everybody. And so he got that in his head. He started working on it, started figuring out what it was. Within 2 years, 50% of our business was web work.
Of course.
And by the end of the decade, or by 2000, a lot of our competitors in the 90s were no longer in business because they didn't make that transformation.
Right.
But he did. Yeah.
I remember digitizing my parents. I worked for a family business. I think we bought our first computer in, I think it was 85. And we took all the double entry bookkeeping and all of the handwritten invoicing and automated it, which was revolutionary back. I mean, it sounds so crazy now, but that computer, which was an NCR Decision Mate 5 in DOS, was like £5,000.
Wow, NCR.
Right? But they were a bookkeeping company, and they said, we have these computers. And it's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
I want to fast forward to 2017. When your agency world changed, even though you had probably one of the most fascinating clients on the planet, maybe we can't say who, but maybe a company that has something to do with a piece of fruit.
One of our many. We had many big, we were in Silicon Valley, and we had, all the big boys. We had a lot of big clients and lovely clients. Sure. I just loved it. Yeah, it was great.
At the pinnacle of coolness and career, what happened?
Well, from a creative agency standpoint, our world really changed a lot. Truly earlier than that, we started to see around the 2012 timeframe, a lot of things were shifting in our world. And we had already been through the whole offshoring of services, to other parts of the world. We had dealt with a lot of companies bringing agency work back inside. A lot of DIY was happening, and our business was shifting and changing a great deal. A lot of the creative stuff we were used to doing was getting smaller and smaller because companies were doing less and less. So we really spent a good chunk of time kind of like, okay, who are we now? Doing a lot of business development and trying to figure out what do we do now. And by the way, this wasn't just our agency. This was sort of agencies across the globe who were dealing with this. And what was interesting for me is that a lot of what I came to the agency for, that creative work, working with creative people, and that client interaction and building those relationships and helping the clients be successful. A lot of that for me, that really kind of charged me up, was going away. And our agency went through a major shift, and we ended up merging with one of our other companies, and really what filled me up was no longer there. So I made the big decision in 2017 to leave and to find what's next, because I realized that when I kind of really assessed things, the things that got me out of bed in the morning, the thing that got me charged up and excited, was slowly trickling away, and that wasn't enough for me anymore. So I left. So
you escaped the slump.
I escaped the slump. Yes, good point.
Come back to that. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
So you were married to John at this time, and I know he said to you, so before you leave, you need to stay in touch with people and give them a way of staying in touch with you. And you had the vision to create a company name before the company, if you like, which was InspirationSQRD, SQRD. And genius, put the URL, set up an email, so at least people knew what you were going on to, even though maybe you didn't. I don't know, because that's how we met, because you joined a mastermind to really formulate, what this company could look like, right?
Exactly. You're exactly right. Yeah. And it was genius of John to be so forward thinking. And it was also really good because when I did leave, and I sent that email out, personal emails out to everybody, and kind of said thanking them for just being there, working with them for all these years. And then also saying, this is here, if you want to stay in touch, here's my email, and this is what I'm doing. And even though I don't quite know what that is, what I do know is I want to take all of my, experiences and my gifts and my passions and my talents and build something. Don't quite know yet, but stay tuned. And what was really great was the perception, not that I realized when I was doing that this was going to happen, but what was interesting is the reaction from people was like, oh, wow, she's moving forward. Like it was this real incredible reaction versus like, oh, she's leaving. I wonder what she's going to do next. Gosh, I hope she's going to be okay. It was like, holy cow, she's moving forward. And that was so profound to me at the time.
And that is so important right now for people to hear, because I have lost count how many conversations I have with people like, they're broke and they have no job, and that little bit of cash that they thought would tide them over is all but gone. Right. And there is the despondency and fear and worry, not just about getting sick, but about surviving and paying bills it's real.
It is.
It's,
totally is.
I mean, literally shit got real, for one of a better phrase. And we were both fortunate. We invested in our businesses. It's interesting, when your agency in that 2012 time was, that's when I think it was the rise of the boutique agencies, which kind of like remake stuff happen. And that's really when I started to come to my own. And now the last 8 years for me has been considerable growth, right up to now. And obviously now it's a different time. But so what I love is that you have to trust your gut, when you meet people. And we were at a 3-day event together in San Diego or Vegas.
No, the first was LA.
It was LA. Okay, that's right. That's why it wasn't resonating. It was in Los Angeles. And I was in this mastermind prior to you. I'd kind of become the poster child on stage of the model, if you like, because I'm one of those guys. If like I do it, I'm all in. And if I'm all in, I win. It's just the way I'm wired. Not at any cost, but almost, it seems sometimes. But and I know you met my wife, Debbie, right? And I believe she said to you, you should talk to my husband. Right?
Exactly. Right? Yeah, she said, you need to meet John. You and my husband, you guys need to meet each other. You guys speak the same language. You guys have to meet each other. And I'm like, well, I can't wait. And then there you were on stage.
Well, thank you. And there was 500 people, and these events are big. It's hard to meet everybody anyway. So yeah, I was on stage, I was speaking, and which is what I love to do. That's one of my favorite things. And of course, there's nowhere to speak right now other than online, because there's no conferences, there's no travel, but it'll come. And then you joined the mastermind with John, and lo and behold, we're almost like kitty corner to each other at the welcome lunch. And I didn't know that you had met Debbie, and my just demeanor is to go say hi and welcome people to the family, if you like. And suddenly we had this connection point when I met your wife, went, oh, you're who Debbie was talking about. And yeah, that was probably 2 years ago.
That was almost 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years ago in October. Yeah, a year and a half. Yeah.
Year and a half, yeah. So love it, love it. So what's interesting is Erin and I chatted not long after that. And after a short while, we decided to do a bit of work together. And Erin's been through everything that we do at We Make Stuff Happen, from social media bootcamp to power content to enhanced web design to email marketing to online training. And out of this, and it's so pertinent for today, and we'll put the links into this, Erin, out of the goodness of her heart, because she didn't need to, truthfully, has created some amazing free training that there is no bait and switch. There's no like, pay $12 and get the book. All you have to do is pay shipping. There's none of that. Truthfully, this is Erin's gift back because she's been through it. And it's called Escape the Slump. EscapeTheSlump.com, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct, yep.
And you will see Erin in live video, well, stage video, but telling all about her story and giving people five exercises that they could be doing to really see if they're doing the right thing in their life right now, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly. I'm really just capturing, I think right now we're at a point where, we're sort of trying to figure out, how to navigate through this unusual time.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is we're all in it together. This is, I think, the first time in a very, very, very long time, probably 100 years, that we as a world, it's a global pandemic, and we're all dealing with the same thing at the same time. And trying to kind of navigate our way through and find our way through it. And it is hard. It is hard. Everything about this is not easy, but there is a lot of hope and there is a lot of resilience behind all this, and a lot of gifts I think we're all going to discover as we do get through this.
Yes.
But I know a lot of people are working from home right now, and that's new to a lot of people.
A lot of people, but you're the expert.
Yes, I know. I've been doing it
You
so long.
made the T-shirt and wrote the book.
Exactly. It's exactly right. And, I kind of have been telling, a lot of my clients, and also just a lot of friends, they've, how did you do it? Because I'm just getting so distracted, or I'm just so bored, or I just can't stand it. And I said, there's just a couple of things that I've done, over the years. And I think this is truly a quick formula to just kind of get charged up in every day, because it is going to get, in a way, every day is the same. My older sister keeps telling me, yeah, it's like Groundhog Day. I wake up in the morning, it's like, oh, it's just another day.
Quarantine day.
Yeah, and we all know here that we have 30 more days of this, at least. So here are a couple little things that I always tell people, especially now that we are working, when you get up in the morning, do your normal routine. Take your shower, get dressed in something that excites you. Like, put something on, something fun. And the great thing is it's spring. So guess what? We get to drag out all of the great spring and summer stuff soon, which I'm thrilled about. But I'm telling people, get dressed, and whatever your morning routine is, put your makeup on, continue to do your meditation, continue to do whatever your morning routine is. Don't break that morning routine. And then come into your office. Come in as if you're going into your office, and then set your day. Say, okay, let's set up my schedule today. What are the goals for today? And set up those top 3 goals today, and make them goals that you can attain that day, and stay focused. I'm also telling people, take breaks. When you're in the office, you take breaks. You do. You're talking to people over there.
Water cooler. Yeah.
So do take the breaks and walk away. Or maybe call up your friend Jonathan and have like a 15-minute coffee break with him. You
do, yeah.
Do what you would do in the office, and people are hungry for that anyway. And then I'm also telling people, make sure that your office feels like you. I have quite a few friends that really have never worked at home. So a lot of times they'll just have their laptop and they'll plop it down on their, their kitchen table and they'll work over the weekend or whatever. But now people are actually working at home. So I'm saying take that workspace and fill it up with things that inspire you. It may just be a picture of you and the family, or just make sure it's a comfy place that defines you and fills you up and inspires you, and make it your space. Because then it'll kind of feel like work, and it's fun then. Even though, not all work is fun, but again, having that kind of just fills you up. And then I know I said this to you before too, Jonathan, I think a really key thing, and I have done this for 25 years, do not eat your lunch at your desk.
Right. Yes.
Take your lunch break. We as Americans, especially, I don't know about Canada, but America's bad. We're horrible at taking lunch. We need to take on the European model.
Right. Siesta.
Yeah, we really, but taking lunch, and here's the thing, at work, I know a lot of times when we're in the office, I got to get that thing done. So, you sit there and you eat your lunch. But you know what? Now that we're all at home, and we are literally at home, we're going to be at home for 30 more days. Get away from your desk. Go for a walk. Make your lunch in your kitchen and maybe sit there and read your favorite book or listen to a podcast or something, but get away from this. Yes. Your body needs it. Your energy needs it. And I'm telling you, it makes coming back to your desk after you've given yourself that break, so much more energy.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
So
there's a couple little tips. Yeah.
Thank you. One of the things you said about have coffee with a friend, and I literally am calling 4 or 5 people every day, and my only agenda is and I don't even say, how are you doing? I actually say, how are you doing today?
That's such a good question.
It's kind of more specific, and then they say, well, actually, not so good. It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that, and let's see what we can find that is good. And I am Mr. Positivity. I'm Mr. Optimist. I know that. It's very rare that I get down, but I do. And I have a lot, truthfully, I did the sharing chronicle on Monday, and I said, I'm going to do this every day. And it's Thursday. What happened to Tuesday, Wednesday? Let's just not go there.
Yeah.
I had a lot of stuff on my plate, and mainly giving to other people. And it's draining. And you almost have to get out and have a walk to rebuild yourself back up to take it on for somebody else, because you absorb it, right? And as consultants and coaches, we both know that. So that's what I love about high energy people, is that you get that, and as you said, going away and having a lunch, coming back, taking that break, going in the garden, just taking 10 minutes of sunshine on your face, coming back. That's all I need to restore my batteries quite often.
Yeah, it is. It's usually what most people need, is just stepping away from it. And like I said earlier, we are so blessed and lucky that this unfortunate event is happening when it's spring and almost summer, because that means sunshine, it means warmth, it means we get to get outside more. So I am just telling everybody I know, take advantage of that. Even soon we can do work outside. Some people could take their laptop and go sit in their backyard on their favorite chair and work from there. Take advantage of what feeds your body.
And just practice social distancing.
Exactly. And that's the thing. All of these things allow you to do that.
I drove past the strip mall yesterday, and there was 2 pickup trucks. It's Canada. Reversed into the parking, and they left a space in between them. The tailgates were down. One guy was over here, one guy was there, and they were just having a chat. And typically they'd have probably stood right next to each other, but that was it. A parking space gap, plus they were both at the tail end of the tailgates, if you like. Chatting. It's like, we get it. They get it. I think a lot of people are getting it. I hope they are. They need to. Because these next 2 weeks are vital for that. So I just want to circle back. I want to try and keep this to a half hour. Thank you for everybody for watching this. Escape the Slump. I'm going to put a link. You literally, it's through a program called Cartree. Just give Erin your name and email just so she can send you the video. And as simple as that, you'll get an opportunity to watch some teaching that Erin has done. And on the end of that, you'll see Erin, the last one, sitting in a lovely leather club chair. And I know this offer is genuine, is that if you're not sure that you are in the right career, or you're not sure in the job that you have right now that you want to go back to it, or anything around that, Erin, I know you've got a little bit of time that you allocated, because we talked about this, to do some calls with people, just to give them some advice around how it worked out for you, right?
Yeah, that's how I feel about April. I've been spending a lot of time, over the last week or so, just kind of thinking about this time where we're at. And I really have sort of opened up time in my calendar specifically for those conversations, because a lot of people are asking those questions because they have the time. They're at home and they're looking at what they're doing or what they're waiting to be doing again. And they're having a lot of time with themselves and thinking, wow, is this what is right for me? What is next for me? What have I left behind? What do I want to reclaim again and do again? And if you're having those kinds of questions right now, we'd love to get on the phone with you and kind of chat through that conversation and really do some discovery, because this is a wonderful time to really kind of almost give you personally time for yourself.
Yes.
And let's think about what happens after this, because truly, as we are coming through, we're moving forward. We're not going back. This whole thing is having us to move forward. And when you move forward, I want people to move forward in their gifts.
Yeah, and be happy,
full
right?
of that hope.
And be
Yes.
happy. Because a lot of people were not happy. They just took a paycheck.
Exactly. And now's the time that, you know what, you get to be a little selfish and kind of take time for yourself.
Right.
And kind of questions those things. And I think, that mini course that I have kind of will ask some of those key questions that might get your mind going. And if it does, and you still have more questions, or you want to kind of just brainstorm, reach out to me. I mean, I kind of dedicated the month of April to that, because I'm just like, I just know beyond this, as hard as this time is going to be, and yes, this time is hard in so many respects. But I also know we will come through, and when we do come through and we're walking forward, what we learn and our own resilience is going to bring us to a whole new place. And to me, it's going to be it will be a wonderful place when we get there.
I believe it. Yeah. And I think we'll be stronger and happier for it. But it's going to take
agree.
time, and it's not going to be easy, but it's definitely doable.
Right. And we're in it together. And that's the beauty of this whole thing.
Yeah,
we're all in this together.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
And if you're on the fence about, I don't know if I want to talk to somebody, I'm also going to share another video on my page today, which is, you've heard of TEDx. There's another series that's not as well known yet. It's called The Proof, and out of Philadelphia. And Erin recently was at a proof talk, and you gave like a 7-minute mini version of your story, which I have seen, and talk about hairs on your arms stand up straight. Your story is compelling, and I'm just going to leave it at that. You have to watch Erin's proof talk, because it's transformational in its own. And then once you watch that, and then you see Erin's course, I know you'll be calling it. I know it, because I would.
Yeah. Thanks, Jonathan.
Oh, Erin, thank you so much for giving us some time today in April. And April 2nd, right? Oh, gosh. It's Thursday, by the way, PSA.
I know. I don't know what the days are anymore. It is kind of funny. It's whatever day, right? But it is Thursday. And thanks so much for having me on the Sharing Chronicles. I love that you're doing this. I can't wait to watch all the other ones that happen.
Lining up
because
fast.
this is great. I love it, because this is the time. We have time to learn about more people and hear their stories. So thank you for taking the time to do it, because it's truly a gift.
And I know your husband is working from home too, and I know he's very, very important supply chain job right now for the world almost. And love to do it. So thank you so much.
Will let him know. Thank you.
I will stop recording, and bye for now, folks.